Okay, welcome back everyone for day 6, which is point 6, be responsible in your relationships. So now we get down to what's considered the discipline of relationship. And in my opinion, how we deal with other people is the heart of our spiritual practice, even though maybe that's not how it's presented often, but I think this is what it really comes down to. And as Sartre said in No Exit, hell is other people, right? This isn't easy. So Norman Fisher explains it this way. He says, with all of the wounding that's gone on so far, the misunderstanding and confusion, getting along with others is very complicated. And the better we know others, the closer to them we are, and the more dealings we have with them, the harder it gets. He continues, regardless of how calm, good, and nice we think we've become, as long as we and others have desires and needs, we will clash. And if we don't expect this and learn how to deal with it, we will either have to live in some sequestered, self-protective way, or be embroiled in stressful controversy much of the time. So this is just a very realistic view of sharing the world with other people, right? And we want to be realistic rather than think that the fact that we don't always agree with everybody 100% all the time, like that's how it should be, like that's something we should strive for. Instead, we should strive to expect difficulty in relationship and learn to work with it well. So all of our training leads us here. But remember, dealing with other people isn't just dealing with other people. It's dealing with ourselves, dealing with other people. Okay, it's an interaction of relationship. So being responsible in our relationships is training ourselves in new ways so that we can be different. And the truth is that when we're different, the other person can be different too, because we've been co-creating the problems and hassles of our lives. So this is actually fantastic news that if we start to tweak our behavior, the other person will be free to change their side of the pattern and that things can improve even in relationships that have old, patterns of interacting. So there are 16 slogans in point 6, which approach this from various directions. Slogan 23 says, always abide by the 3 basic principles. So this encourages us to stay with the basics, which are, first, remind yourself what's important. Second, don't call attention to yourself. And third, don't be one-sided. So the first one was remind yourself what's important. And this is kind of the ultimate guideline to bring us back to our center when we need it. So the question is, what do you care about? Your own happiness and the happiness of the people around you. Finding and expressing your natural goodness, kindness, and compassion. Standing up for what's right in a way that's loving and effective. Those are just some suggestions. Whatever it is for you, use that to orient your mind and your behavior. That's what this is calling for us to do. The second is don't call attention to yourself, which means don't be self-sacrificing in a public way in order to give the appearance of being like a hero or a helper. So Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche, this is a period thing, but I think I love it, gives the example in his book, don't ostentatiously touch lepers, he says. But I think that gives you a sense. I couldn't think of anything that was that good in a modern sense. So I wanted to put that out there. And so please don't ostentatiously touch lepers and put it on your Instagram. But you know what he's saying. Because, and we'll come back to this a couple times, I think today, the risk is kind of creating this spiritual persona, which is not going to help us be more sort of clearly us in the world. So don't be one-sided. The third of the basics means don't be biased. And the teaching is in particular toward yourself. But if you're someone who tends to be biased towards other people and ignore your own well-being, then take it, you can turn that around. So don't forget to consider the other person's side in a conflict, or if you only consider other people's, don't forget to consider your own side. Also, don't favor folks you like over folks you don't like, meaning be realistic and clear-minded in situations to the best that you can. I mean, that's hard, actually, I think. Slogan 24 is change your attitude, but remain natural. And Norman Fisher uses it, he just says, don't be a phony. So we want to cultivate kindness and get over our obsession with ourselves. But as I was saying before, we don't want to create some new spiritual persona. There's no need to impress anybody. Also, in terms of remaining natural, don't get too wound up about this process. Stay relaxed. Norman says his slogan is the following. I love this. Lighten up, relax, maybe go to a movie, have a glass of wine, don't try too hard, maybe there's something good on TV. That's his slogan. And I think this is someone, who was the abbot of the San Francisco Zen Center, right? So it's not that he hasn't taken his practice seriously, but if we just try to do this all the time, we're going to burn out. Give yourself permission to do things that, where you can kind of space out in a way that's giving you a break when that's what you need. And just, know that you have permission to do that even within the teachings. Not that you need the permission from the teachings, but like even in the teachings, is all I'm saying. So slogan 25, and this is another kind of famous one that I like that sticks in my mind. Don't talk about injured limbs. So this means don't make comments about other people's shortcomings or bad qualities. And this is maybe something, this isn't something I was trained to do, to not make these comments, but I think it's so incredibly important. So the idea is that a person behaving badly is like someone with a broken arm. The injury is obvious. You can count on the fact that they've been injured in some way in their lives. And that's why they're injuring someone else. So we want to understand that the person has limitations as if they had a broken arm. And we want to work with these limitations as skillfully as we can. And just like talking about it and saying what a bad person they are is not going to be helpful. That's going to come up again in a couple of points as well. Well, or actually it's coming up right here. Okay, so criticizing the person is not going to help the situation, and it's not going to help the person, and look to see if that's been the case in your own experience. It actually may make things worse. So they need to figure out how to heal their wounds someday. And it's unlikely that our disrespect or harsh speech is going to help that process. Folks who feel attacked will likely continue their bad behavior or potentially escalate their bad behavior. And again, look to see if this has been the case, even in like small situations. So on the contrary, kindness and warmth might have a positive impact on the person, especially when they're expecting the opposite. So that's a big teaching, actually, I think. So let that one sink in and play with it in practice and see what happens. And maybe think about times when you were the bad, person behaving badly and someone just criticized you or told you about your bad qualities, and think about how, did that empower you to make any changes? Did that help you behave better? Or did you just become more bratty? It makes me more bratty personally. And I've seen it make other people more bratty when I did it to them. So yeah, really important, actually, food for thought in improving the behavior of people who have been harmed and are harming. So this is super revolutionary stuff, actually. This is like some of my favorite parts of this training. Slogan 26 is don't ponder others. So we barely understand ourselves, but we're always analyzing and discussing other people. Conflict resolution specialist Jack Himmelstein said the following: we judge ourselves by our intentions. We judge others by the effects of their actions on us. So we need to realize that we don't actually know other people's motives, needs, or feelings. So often asking them can be super helpful in these situations when you can. Find out what's happening for the other person. They will definitely be more receptive if they think you're interested to what they feel or what they need. And it helps to assume that other people are doing their best given whatever they're going through, right? And how they've been trained, and what their past is like and how they're feeling right now. So just because you assume someone's doing their best doesn't mean they can't do better over time, but most people are everyone I know is doing their best in the moment with the skills that they currently have. That can help me feel more compassionate. So when we do need to guess what's going on in someone's mind, which happens, we should do so with humility and understand that we might totally be wrong. Slogan 27, work with your biggest problems first. So our primary issue is the doorway to unraveling our difficulties. However, we don't need to and can't fix it overnight. And I'm not saying that we should start with our traumatic experiences as the first thing that we work on. But I think over time, we can trust that by paying attention to our deepest wound, we'll find resolution and healing over time. Slogan 28, abandon any hope of fruition. So this is really important. So try not to think of this practice as like problem resolution with a specific goal. Keep it more open-minded than that, open-ended than that. So we want to use the teachings as a way to explore what's happening, to learn, and to become more and more open-hearted. Trungpa Rinpoche puts it this way: don't try too quickly to become a better person. And this is similar to that don't succeed too early that we talked about, I think, yesterday or the day before. Let things unfold naturally and in their own time. And part of why this is so important is that fruition tends to imply like a specific projected improvement into the future. But the truth is that opening the heart does not necessarily look how we expect it to in our current state of full or partial confusion. And I have found this for me, like the ways that I thought I wanted to change didn't end up being the ways that I've changed as I've let go of bad habits. Like, I think I thought I was going to become like people that I looked up to, but I'm actually just becoming like a better version of me, if that makes sense. And I don't have the people that I was looking up to, I don't have the same qualities as or strengths. And I've also seen how things I looked up to in some people, like their best quality is also their worst quality. And in general, it's like people who give so much. I thought that's who I was going to be. And I'm not saying I don't give more, but I've also learned working with a lot of those people that they give so much that they can't even follow through on half the things they say they're going to do, because they overcommit and then end up, saying they're going to do 3 things at once. So it doesn't even like work as well as I thought it did for them. But anyway, just in terms of myself, I feel like the places I've gone weren't the places I thought I was going, and that by letting go and becoming more open-hearted, I'm happy with where it's gone, but it was sort of where it had to go, and I couldn't see it ahead of time. So have confidence in the process and try to enjoy where you are right now. It's going to keep happening, right? Anyway, it's going to keep going. So who even knows where it's going? This isn't something we finish. Slogan 29, abandon poisonous food. So this is encouragement to give up our self-centeredness so that we can better tune into the big picture and a more realistic and holistic perspective. So this practice is not about personal achievement, and we don't want to build our egos with these practices. So that's what this is really suggesting. And Norman Fisher says it this way: we don't have to get rid of our narcissistic thoughts. We just need to stop eating them. Slogan 30 is don't be so predictable. So this refers to the fact that we tend to be generous or reciprocal with people who are kind to us. And then we hold long-term resentment against people who harm us. So instead, the Lojong is encouraging us to release our resentments and be generous and kind to everyone, which is hard. Slogan 31, don't malign others. So this is similar to the injured limbs, but it's more about gossip. So gossiping about other people or putting them down is destructive. And for sure, the folks that you're gossiping to know that you're going to make nasty comments about them when they're not around. So it's like extra destructive. So if we don't speak negatively about folks, people will trust us. And I have found that to be true of myself as I have been getting rid of that nasty habit that I was raised to do. Slogan 32, don't wait in ambush. So this means don't hold a grudge in hopes of getting revenge someday. Holding on to resentment is damaging to us and destructive to relationships. We want to practice forgiveness, compassion, and communication instead. Slogan 33, don't bring things to a painful point. This means, and again, this is going to be similar to some of the other ones, this means don't humiliate people. So if somebody's already difficult and we elaborate their faults or treat them poorly, their behavior is going to get worse. Instead, we want to act in a way that might minimize their issues. And we want to apply this to ourselves too. Don't humiliate yourself in your own mind for bad behavior. Instead, try to treat yourself in a way that will minimize your issues, which is going to be through kindness and understanding and compassion. Slogan 34, don't transfer the ox's load to the cow. It's another famous one that I like. So, which this makes no sense to you, I think, until it's explained, or maybe it makes sense to you, but didn't to me. So an ox is built to carry a load and a cow is not, which is obvious once it's explained, but maybe not where you went. I don't know. So the burden of my emotions is my own. I'm the ox, built to deal with my own stuff. If I play victim and blame other people for how I feel, then as the cow, they're unequipped to deal with it. So this is about taking responsibility for our own side of things, our own feelings. It doesn't mean we don't pursue legal action or act to change a situation, right? It's not about only dealing with our feelings. We can still act in the world, and I encourage that we do that. But let's say somebody doesn't apologize to me or make amends for some harm that they did. I need to own how I feel and move on, or else I'll be trapped in the negativity forever, waiting for them to fix it for me. So that makes sense. It's a long list of 16. We have 21 tomorrow. But they kind of come back on themselves. So slogan 35, don't try to be the fastest. Opening our hearts and becoming wise and kind grown-ups is not a competition. It's also not something that can be rushed. It's a long, slow process. Plus, what would we do afterward? Wouldn't we keep broadening and deepening our practice anyway? Oh, I'm here. I'm going to stop becoming a nicer person or a happier person. Just keep it right where I am now. So, notice any impatience or perfectionism when it comes up, and it will, and try to lighten up about that. I love like even Adyashanti, who, talks about being enlightened, still talks about every day being a deepening and broadening of understanding and of embodying insight in the world. So even for someone who, most people, whether they're enlightened or not, won't say that they are. And I do love that he says that he is. So it doesn't seem like something that never happens. But so even for someone who says that, it keeps going. Slogan 36, don't act with a twist. This means don't have an ulterior motive to your kindness, like wanting to look good or make friends. Norman encourages us to cultivate genuine altruism based on your conviction that this is the most satisfying way to live. Karma is driven by your intentions. So it matters why we do what we do. And that's going to change the impact on our own mind and on the world, depending why we're doing it. So any deception or deviousness won't lead to opening our hearts or to feeling happy. Slogan 37, don't make gods into demons. So this means don't use your practice to build your ego. Also, don't use your practice to just smooth things over or try to keep everything under control. These techniques are the gods in the phrase, but like anything, they can turn to demons if we use them incorrectly. Remember the original intentions of openness and honest, compassionate communication. Slogan 38, last one for today. Don't seek others' pain as the limbs of your own happiness. So this is like Schadenfreude in German. They're the only people I know who have a word for it. But don't hope that something bad happens to a difficult person, and don't take pleasure if something bad happens to them. So that's no basis for real, open-hearted happiness. So we're practicing to develop both compassion and resilience in order to have a harmonious and meaningful life. These teachings encourage us to overcome our self-centeredness and to develop both wisdom and compassion in order to love and connect to others in an authentic way. So that was a lot of me talking. Anyone have any thoughts or comments on any of those? A lot of slogans, some repetition.
I'll share if that's cool.
Yes, please.
I really appreciate going through these few days, and I like that like life or the experience is a practice, and these kind of help give some guidance throughout it. And I think my favorite out of all of these is number 35. Don't try to be the fastest. We have a reactionary culture. We're in this moment right now. There's a lot going on, but even changing your expectation point to say, hey, I intend to arrive. It's what's on top of my mind, but this is a process. I can't control the speed. I think is useful to take some of the urgency off of the things, especially the most painful areas that we have. So I really appreciated that today.
Beautiful. Thank you.
And kind of as an extension on what you just said, Jerry, is the part that I really like is when Karen says be open-ended. As we do change and as we do progress and as we do grow, we might end up where we don't think we're supposed to be or where we're intending to be, but it's where we are. So we've got to like embrace it, be present in it, and just kind of flow with it. There's no agenda. I thought that was beautiful.
I had two strong reactions. One was to the same number 35, like Jerry was saying, don't be the fastest. I love to ski really fast, and I like to be out front. But I find that when I do that, I lose connection to my group and I don't always ski well. Um, and I find that really interesting because I do it anyway. And then I miss the things that I lost going fast. So it's a really good reminder to say that there's so much to be gained by just doing something differently. If I was the slowest, pushing a pace, or if I'm the fastest, going slower, because there's so much to be found in that. The other part that I got so much out of was the whole, I thought I was going to be someone else that I'm not, because I have this wicked caustic sense of humor and it has been mean, trust me, but people laugh at it. It's very sarcastic. And I thought, I'm going to extricate that. I'm going to get rid of it because I don't like to be mean. But I do like to make people laugh. What I found is this more rich sense of humor coming out. It certainly isn't all the way developed. It's very bare bones, but I thought I was going to be this like really spiritual person and like not have this sense of humor. But it's growing bigger, I'm finding, as I'm deepening my practice. And it's okay. Like, I didn't think it was okay. So this is so helpful as validation that the path is unfolding as it's meant to. And I'm so grateful to you for leading me down this path.
I think that's important to acknowledge for everyone, like awakening or whatever you want to call it. Doesn't mean losing your quirks. It doesn't mean losing your personality. It doesn't mean losing your strengths. It just might mean using it. Like, that was the perfect description of Jennifer, like her sense of humor, becoming richer as she maybe picks targets that don't make people unhappy, right? But you can still be clever and like a little bit evil, just not like at anybody, right? Because I would hate for you to lose that, because I love that in a person, right? But it's so fascinating because I think there's this idea that as we grow as spiritual people, we're just going to get really nice, which sounds really bland. And I'm sorry, I don't really hang out with that many nice, bland people. Right? Like, I don't know. I like interesting people. So, I mean, if you're naturally bland and nice, that's fine. And I'm not saying I really wouldn't want to hang out with you, but we're not becoming all the same, I guess, is the point. And we're not becoming less. We're just becoming sort of more open and less, armored. But not all becoming the same person or some very specific way of being. Thank goodness, right? Like, we don't want the world to become boring. And did you have something?
Yeah. So number one, I think I'm kind of bland and nice. No? You hang out with me.
You're
Kate.
nicer than
So
most.
I don't know.
But you're not bland.
Like, maybe I am.
I don't
Anyway,
find you-
that's a side note. Thank you all for sharing everything you've shared already. I love all those points. The fastest one, I feel my whole body just kind of go, oh, thank goodness I don't have to race and get there fast. And compete and like compare and do all this stuff, because my journey so far has, been very different than some of the people around me who are on the same sort of path in a way, and it's okay. Number 25 came to me, not that I like that it was like awe-inspiring in any way, but just like I feel like right now in particular we're in such an age of,
Remind us which 125 is.
oh, sorry. Oh, don't talk about injured limbs. But that one was the one you said more like, don't make comments about other people's shortcomings or bad behaviors. And I feel like, gosh, we're in such a time where that's so normal. It feels like people are just posting stuff and saying stuff and acting in ways. And it's, for me, my personal experience has been like, sometimes I sort of go, am I doing this right? Because I'm not doing that. I mean, of course I still do it sometimes, but it's like, I don't want to engage in that behavior because of these teachings. And yet it seems so normal right now that everyone's doing that. that sometimes it feels weird to be on the other side of it. And I'm just so grateful for, you know, all of us doing this to realize, like, because, you know, if you think it through, it's like, of course, that's not going to get anywhere. You know, in the long term, it's not going to lead anywhere good if everybody's just saying everything unkind, mean, whatever comes in here and just letting it rip. It's just going to grow more and more of that. And nobody, it's just kind of yuck. So that one just really, really struck me. And yeah, just good to have a sense of humor and be humble and keep practicing. And great that we have our little pod here in our group and, you know, doing this work. So thanks, Karen, and thank you guys.
You know, I think just one of the downfalls of things like social media is that when someone's not sitting right in front of you, somehow it's easier to say the harsh thing. You know, I'm not saying people didn't do it before social media, but like you can post something harsh at someone you don't even know. Like it's so crazy. And people, you know, and a reflection of how upset people are. But it's just good to remember, I think, when any of us have the, you know, I'm not saying I don't have the desire to do that, but to remember that creating division, you know, just isn't what the world needs right now. And I'm not saying we don't need to stand up for really important ideas, because now is, you know, it's almost more important now to do that because of all this crazy behavior, to stand firm with what we believe in, and but to do it in a way where we can be heard, instead of just like, I've seen the most wonderful people I know like name calling, even name calling of politicians. I'm like, I don't see how that doesn't just make you look like someone I don't want to listen to. And these are some people I really, really care about. I had to like hide one of my best and most caring friends on Facebook, who like, she's, you know, been a public service person her entire life. And I'm like, is your daughter on Facebook? Does she see you like name calling? And I know it's just because it's been such challenging times. And I didn't disagree with what she said either. I just disagree with saying it. Anyway, yeah. So, you know, becoming, you know, little pods of sanity in that, I mean, it helps. And even just not interacting with that helps. I don't think calling it out is necessarily helpful especially in sort of more anonymous situations. But I think every time we don't engage, that makes a difference. It's my belief. Linz, anything from you before we sit?
Yeah, I really liked kind of Ange bringing that point back up. Essentially, like when we were talking about not taking our own faults personally, and I feel like that image of the broken arm kind of really helps reiterate, like, not taking it personally. Like it's a broken arm, it's like part of it. That image just really helps me, like, just not take it personally. And all of this, and I talked to Karen a little bit, has been really like eye-opening, and it's been difficult. You know, it's been, I feel like for me over this week, it's been a lot of like just stuff moving, and you know, it kind of comes back to that not knowing where you're going on this path. Like, because for me, I'm like, oh, compassion, like I can't wait to like sign up for this and feel like spacious and open-hearted and all of that. And this isn't at all what I've been feeling this week. And that's nice too, you know, but again, not at all what I would have envisioned myself. And that I just keep getting reminded of that the entire time. You know, I've been studying like that my kind of understanding, or my wants for who I should be on my spiritual path is like so much smaller than actual reality of this.
That is perfectly said. Yeah, our ideas about it are so much smaller than what it's going to be and what it's becoming. Wow, thank you. Well, Hawaiian birds in the background. Nice too. Okay. All right, so let's do some practice. Today we get to the good one. Compassion for difficult people. We've been working up for this. So take your time setting up your body, however it's right for you. So we'll begin, as always, with the body. Maybe feeling the entire body at once, filling the body with awareness, filling awareness with the body. Feeling the fullness of the body, the three-dimensionality. And it's just so powerful and grounding to be in the body as we move through contemplations but also just anything moving through our day. We'll allow the breathing to settle into a natural rhythm, trusting the body to choose the rate of breathing, the depth. Remaining alert and clear, but moving from that kind of doing mode into more being. And we're cultivating a kind of relaxed and clear presence here in the body. And you can always come back to this. If there's a moment in the practice where you feel like kind of more is going on than you want to, come back here as long as you like, and then back into the practice. For this practice, for any practice. And now I'd like you to bring to mind a person of difficulty for you. And I'd like you to drop the storyline about how they may have harmed you or about how they may have harmed other people. And instead, for now, let's consider their emotional state and their general emotional health. And I'd like you to ask yourself, why do you think that this person acts in such challenging and unskillful ways? What are their difficulties in life, as far as you know? how might their way of thinking and speaking and behaving be making things worse for them? So, attending closely to their suffering and their potential causes of suffering. And now let's tap into the wellspring of kindness and compassion that is the nature of your heart. Begin to offer this person kindness on your natural exhale. Spend a little time here generating goodwill and care for this person. Now, on the inhale, draw in whatever difficulty they may be experiencing at this time or in their past. Go as slowly as you need to. Be as genuine as you can. Acknowledge that it's when folks are hurting that they cause pain to others. Think back into your own life to times when you may have harmed others because you were suffering from a powerful negative emotion such as anger or jealousy or fear. Know that you too have experienced a comparable loss of equilibrium that caused you to behave in ways that caused harm to others. Inhale their challenges. Exhale, may you be free from suffering. Inhale their confusion. Exhale, may you find your deepest heart's desire, your most meaningful happiness and fulfillment. May you cultivate the causes of such happiness. Inhale their darkness and exhale to them the light of love, of warmth, of pure affection. Imagine how this person might be if they were truly happy. Imagine their innate goodness springing forth. Imagine how this might alleviate your difficulty with this person. And now consider that you're not alone. The type of relationship that you have with this person is not unique. There are many similar situations around the world. Widen your practice out to all beings facing the same type of challenge, both the perceived perpetrators and the perceived victims. Offer all of them what they need to soften, to open, to heal. Acknowledge the challenging emotions and the pain on all sides. Exhale care and kindness and wisdom. And now go back and forth between practicing with your relationship with your person of difficulty and the similar situations around the world, changing when you decide to. And now we'll release the Tonglen practice and drop the mind back into the simplicity of observing the breath in the body. Possibly softening the belly to allow the breath to settle back into that natural rhythm if maybe it's not totally there. Maybe it's totally there and you just enjoy it. Again, you might feel the entire body at once, feeling that the breath is like a wave and the body's like the ocean. Any comments or thoughts about that practice? Okay, so I have two quotes for you today. These are both from Anne Lamott. We were talking about quotes yesterday, and Ange, that's a good, she's a great source for pithy and awesome quotes. So the first is forgiveness is giving up all hope of having had a better past. And then the second, she says, you can either practice being right or practice being kind. Thank you. We'll see you tomorrow for one more day together. And I'm going to remember to email you a couple stories that I love that are sort of great resources for examples of some of the real life examples of conflict resolution, if you will, more from the point of view of these teachings than other things. Debbie, did you?
Yeah, a quick question. Trying to look at some of your other teachings on your website. Do each one of your pods have a different password?
So like other courses?
Yes.
Yeah, there's a different password for each thing.
Okay. So I will reach out to you separately for that.
Yeah. So yeah, if there's any resources that you guys want, just you can donate or you can just ask for a password because it's all whatever you want.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you tomorrow. Have a great day. Lindsay, enjoy.